Hope you had a great night. Alright, this is Act of God's Captive, into Call of the Captive's Diary, episode 26, season 5. Written by Precious with Obialor-Ukazim. So, let's get started. Okay, I'll give you time. Uma said as she looked into his eyes and resigned. But you have to promise me one thing, that you'll be honest with me, you'll tell me what's going on, and we'll face it together. Promise me that, she demanded. I promise, Uma Snachi. I'll be honest with you, I'll tell you everything. He promised, nodding. A deep silence fell between them as they drove to the airport, each lost in his thoughts, and David had to break the silence repeatedly to ask if she was okay, to which she nodded in the affirmative. This left him feeling trapped and guilty, while Uma is left confused and hurt. As they arrived at the airport, the silence between them seemed to grow thicker, like a fudge that clung to their skin. They climbed down the car together, but David didn't want her to stress following him to the airport terminal. He wanted the driver to take her back to the house, but she insisted on following him inside. Standing hand in hand at the hub, her eyes welled up with tears as she gazed at David, her voice trembling as she spoke. I don't want you to go, she said like an overpampered child. David's heart ached as he wrapped his arms around her, holding her close. He felt her warmth, her scent, and the gentle rise and fall of her chest as she breathed. He didn't want to let her go either. I'm sorry, sunshine. I need to. I'll call you, okay? He whispered, trying to reassure her. But Emma clung to him, her tears streaming down her face as she buried her head in his chest. I feel like something's changing between us, she whispered, her voice barely audible. You're pulling away from me and I don't know why, she added, and David's grip on her tightened. He felt a pang of guilt. He wanted to tell her that everything will be okay, but the words caught in his throat. He just held her, trying to absorb her pain, her fears, and her doubts. As they stood there, the airport noise faded into the background. The announcement, the chatter of passengers, the rustling of luggage, all that mattered was the ache between them. David held her for a moment longer, savoring the feel of her in his arms. He memorized the way her hair smelled sweetly. That was tricky. Sure, you know. Sorry, I was talking to my baby girl here. He memorized the way her hair smelled sweetly, the way her body fit against ease, and the way her heart beat in time with ease. Finally, he gently pried her loose. His finger traced the contours of her face as he wiped away her tears. I'll call you soon, he promised, his voice husky with emotion. We'll talk every day and I'll be thinking of you every step of the way, he told her, and Uma nodded, her eyes still shining with tears. I love you, she whispered, her voice cracking. David's heart twisted. I love you too, he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He pulled her close again, their lips desirous to meet in a desperate longing kiss. But it wasn't possible. They both swallowed their spit. David's eyes locked into her, searching for a glimmer of reassurance. Uma's gaze was fragile, her emotions raw, but she smiled weakly, and David's heart clenched. He knew he had to leave, but every fiber of his being screamed to stay. With one last glance as they broke apart, he turned and walked away, leaving Uma standing alone, a heart heavy with unspoken fears and doubt. David didn't look back, fearing he would turn around and stay. He kept his eyes fixed on the security checkpoint, his heart pounding in his chest, like a drum. As it disappeared into the crowd, Umar's tears flowed freely, her body shaking with sobs. She stood there for a while, frozen in time, her heart aching with a sense of loss and uncertainty before walking back to the car. Are you okay? The driver asked as she got into the car, but she looked at him once and looked away without answering him a word. As she stepped into her room, the emptiness hit her like a physical blow. She had been holding it together at the airport, but now alone in her space, the weight of her emotion crashed down on her. She collapsed onto the bed, her body racked with sobs. The silence was deafening. Every object in the room seemed to remind her of David. The photo they had taken together on the night he proposed to her, the gift he had given her on their date, the way he would sit on the couch, watching her as though she was a goddess. Umar's mind replayed their conversation on their way to the airport. David's evasive answers, his hesitation. What is going on? How is their relationship going to be now that he's being told to stop visiting her? The question swirled in her head, but she had no answers. As she lay there, her tears soaked into the pillow, her heart heavy with sorrow. She felt lost, abandoned, and uncertain about their future. The room seemed to grow darker, the shadows cast by the fading light outside twisting into menacing shapes. Her phone lay beside her, silent and still. She longed to reach out to David, to hear his voice, to know what he was thinking of her. But she knew she had to wait, knowing that he would be aboard. He would call her soon. He had promised. As the hours ticked by, Omar's tears eventually slowed, replaced by a dull ache that seemed to permeate every cell of her body. She drifted into a fitful sleep, her dreams haunted by visions of David, their love and the uncertainty that now hung over them like a shadow. Her phone rang and jolted from her sleep. She could swear it was David and rushed at the phone without bothering to check the caller's identity. She answered the call thinking it's her honey bug, only to hear her father's voice and she couldn't help her disappointment as she paused to look into the phone. Definitely, I guess today's episode is more like a poem of love for Omar and David. I know it's kind of hard. It's in short, it were very hard for them, knowing how the situation is and going to be two people that looks inseparable, and now they're on the verge of like they say we should not see each other like every day again. You understand that kind of thing. So I get it. I get the pain, the heartache, and everything. I hope they'll be stronger, and by tomorrow we'll know what our papa is calling for. At least let's know what is happening, because even me, I'm finding it hard to wrap my head around it, and it's kind of, I don't know, painful. But I feel for them, sha. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a beautiful and great day ahead. I love you guys. Bye bye.